Fox 32 has information indicating the FBI has launched an investigation into controversial Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Dane Placco has been following allegations of her misspending and joins us now with an update. Dane.
Yeah, we've been reporting for nearly 2 years on allegations of corruption surrounding Henyard in her capacity as Dolton Mayor and Thornton Township Supervisor. And now we've learned from multiple sources that federal agents are in fact interviewing witnesses as part of a possible investigation that may or may not result in charges.
We went to pick up the cake to offer to our seniors, and they told us, your card doesn't work.
And I stand in the fight because I want the boys and girls of the next generation to see what it looks like to come out of controversy and to come out of all the hatred unscathed. At the end of the day, God gives the test to his strongest soldiers.
The FBI has just found a vast wire fraud plot involving Tiffany Henyard, and it's far worse than anyone could have expected. But how did it all come crashing down? Dolton's finances were going out of control, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. The FBI has the receipts and is chasing Tiffany Henyard while she was living the high life, flaunting a lifestyle that is completely out of character for a mayor of a small town.
I'm about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there will be anything. It will just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on in Thornton Township.
Following the unexpected death of long-standing Mayor Frank Zuccarelli, Tiffany Henyard's ascent to power Andolin began. She came in strong, portraying herself as the town's hero with a number of audacious promises and big goals. For a while, it seemed like she was exactly what Dolton needed, a fresh face and new ideas, but despite her promising start, problems soon emerged in her administration. She was nearly a local celebrity in those early days, attending events, cutting ribbons, and making sure everyone knew she was in charge. Tiffany Henyard's leadership style turned pretty aggressive, especially toward anyone who dared to question her. It became clear she wasn't into teamwork or being open. She wanted to call the shots and wasn't afraid to steamroll anyone who got in her way. This tough approach started causing rifts within the town's government, leading to clashes with the village board and other officials. Plus, the big promises she made seemed to need a bottomless pit of cash, and Dolton's finances began to feel pinch as time went on. Her spending got out of hand. She started living like a big city mayor instead of the leader of a small town. Reports started coming out about her lavish purchases, designer clothes, luxury vacations, and a police security detail that cost the town a jaw-dropping $1 million. It was like she treated Dolton's budget as her personal piggy bank, dipping into it whenever she felt like it. Her shopping spree became legendary, with rumors of her dropping thousands in a single day on Amazon. She was buying everything from fancy gadgets to gourmet food, while the town's basic needs were getting ignored. Things in Dolton were getting pretty dire, and the difference between Henyard's lavish lifestyle and the town's financial struggles was glaring. While she was living it up, Dolton's bank account was taking a nosedive. The budget, which used to have millions in reserve, was now in the red, with debts piling up. Residents started noticing that services were getting cut, maintenance was lagging, and the overall quality of life was slipping. But the breaking point started to hit when it was revealed that Dolton was over $3.5 million in debt, which was a huge deal. The news shocked the community. It became clear this wasn't just a few bad budgeting choices. This was a serious financial mismanagement.
Tiffany Henyard, who is also the mayor in nearby Dolton, is part of multiple lawsuits and a federal investigation.
The FBI's investigation into Tiffany Henyard didn't just happen overnight. It all started with rumors in the Dolton community about her extravagant spending. People were starting to notice that she was living the high life, even for a mayor, and the conversations about it were becoming louder. It wasn't just about her expensive clothes and trips. People were also starting to wonder how she was paying for all of this, and if it was legal. Things reached a breaking point when Dolton's finances started to collapse under her spending spree. The town, which had previously been in decent shape financially, was now facing a multi-million-dollar deficit. This was a major issue, and it didn't take long for outside authorities to learn about it. The rumors about Henyard's spending were enough to pique the Fed's attention, and they started looking through the town's financial records. The FBI got involved and dropped 2 significant subpoenas that totally changed the course of events. The first subpoena focused on Henyard's personal business affairs, specifically looking for any overlap between her private ventures and her job as mayor. They were particularly interested in identifying any conflicts of interest or unscrupulous practices that may have influenced her choice. Second order was aimed at the township's financial records, looking for any signs of mismanagement. This was a big deal, because it meant the investigation wasn't just about Henyard, it was about the whole financial position in Dolton. While she was in charge, before long the investigation spread even more. What started as a look into Henyard finances turned into a broader examination of multiple officials and entities. In Dolton, the FBI wasn't just focused on her, they were checking out the entire administration, including other village officials and any businesses that worked with the town. This made it clear that things were serious. It wasn't just one person's mistakes. It looked like there could be a whole network of corruption going on then. Things got even more interesting when former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot got pulled into the mix. Known for her tough and sometimes controversial leadership, Lightfoot's name added a whole new layer to the already complicated situation. At first, it wasn't clear how she was connected, but just her name being involved drew even more attention. Some people speculated that she might have had business ties with Henyard, although others speculated that she might be assisting with the inquiry behind closed doors. Her participation elevated the narrative to a whole new level of intensity.
I talked to a couple of agents and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my paperwork to show them what was happening in court and what was happening in Dolton. And they told me they was investigating and they would be in touch.
The community reacted with fervor and speed. Residents of Dolton, who had previously been moved by Tiffany Henyard's promises, were now enraged by her spending and the financial catastrophe she had caused. Protests broke out, and people started to demand explanations. Village board meetings turned into heated debates with residents and officials clashing over how to deal with the growing scandal. Calls for Tiffany Henyard to resign got louder as she had betrayed the trust of the people who elected her. The town was in chaos, and it felt like everyone was picking sides. In the middle of all this, Henyard tried to defend herself. She claimed the FBI investigation was politically motivated, suggesting her opponents were just trying to take her down. She insisted that the backlash wasn't about any wrongdoing on her part, but rather a smear campaign against her. She even painted herself as a victim, saying she had not done anything wrong and that the investigation would clear her name. But her attempts to shift the story didn't really calm the anger and suspicion in the community. While she tried to downplay how serious the financial situation was in Dolton, she argued that the town's debt was being blown out of proportion and that her spending was necessary for the improvements she promised. But a lot of residents weren't buying it. They had seen their town's finances go downhill right in front of them. The evidence of mismanagement was too strong, and her explanations felt like desperate attempts to save herself. Trust in her was shattered, and the calls for her to step down only got louder as the investigation rolled on.
They was not able to get certain services, whether it was gift cards for a big bingo. Monday, the staff was not able to even buy ice cream for the seniors.
When the FBI completed their investigation, things didn't look good for Tiffany Henyard and her team. The report outlined a pretty outrageous pattern of spending that was excessive for a small-town mayor like her. Instead of using funds for public services and infrastructure, she was splurging on personal luxuries like designer clothes, fancy trips, and an absurdly large security detail. This put Dolton's resources at risk and left the town in a difficult position. However, it wasn't just her extravagant lifestyle that raised eyebrows. The way she manipulated budgets and financial records to hide her spending raised red flags. The FBI's findings painted a pretty grim picture for her future. Misusing public funds. The study turned out more than merely financial mismanagement was more than just henhouse and hot water. It also referred to possible fraud and breaches of public trust. A culture of corruption pervaded her government, and a number of her close friends were investigated for their possible participation or lack thereof. According to the report, there was a clear case for criminal charges against Tiffany and the people in her circle. Meanwhile, fans are taking to social media to voice their views. One person wrote that Tiffany Henyard ought to be on a new show of American Greed. Another wrote, "What are your thoughts on this whole situation? Tiffany Henyard seems like a terrible wife who spends her husband's money without thinking about her marriage or her kids." Please share your views in the comments section, and don't forget to watch our most recent videos. I appreciate you seeing.